Welcome back to Wood Hill Park again. My latest little project is a bit of track correction. As I'm now working on the embankments in front of the TMD, which will be in a later video, I've been looking at the infrastructure and the rigidity of the track and the levelness of the track, to see there's no undulations and stuff that's going to annoy the eye. And I noticed a section up this end where the train was riding up and coming down, and found there was quite a bit of a hump in the track. So I've been working on trying to correct this. So in this video I'll show you how I got on. A problem I've got to deal with is an undulation in the track at this point. You might be able to see it if I rock the ruler. It's on the two furthest tracks in front of the TMD, and I think it's because it's the join between the two ply boards underneath, and when I've done the ballasting, the PVA, the liquid PVA, has got into the ply underneath in the gap, made it swell up, and it's only done it to these two tracks. The nearest one is still pretty good, and I think that's because it's screwed to a post that is just beneath. If I go down, and I think that's what's keeping this track level, but the further you go away on the board, the next tracks are raising up, and it does look bad when a coach goes across it. It sort of goes up and down, so it's annoying me. So I'm going to have a go at trying to sort of bend it back to shape, and I've come up with a harebrained scheme of putting this plate on top with some studding going through, so I can put it on top of the two rails, or the two tracks, and then between it drill a hole and then put it through this board and then through the baseboard underneath, and then wet the ballast and slowly do it up to pull the board down again, and then leave it to dry. And then once it's dry, I'll put a permanent post underneath these two tracks as well, so that it keeps it down at that level. But I've now got to sort of pull it down and keep it down. So wish me luck. Hopefully it works, but it's all theory at the moment. If it doesn't, then I might be pulling up the track in this area. So time to drill a hole and thread it all through and clamp it down, after I've moistened the ballast, that is. So we'll see in a minute, well, not in a minute, in a while, when I catch up with you on the video, whether it's worked. moment of truth. I've just blocked up the hole with some blue tack, and I've got me boiling water. So very carefully put some boiling water on the area, let it soak in. Keep it controlled, only in this section do I want it. As it's running away down there, I better go and get a bit of kitchen roll. After a frantic grab for a bit of kitchen roll, I'll take the excess off. Hasn't soaked in that well. And leave it to soak in for a bit. Then put this plate with a bit of stud in and pull it down from underneath. It's a few minutes later and it has softened a bit, but I don't want it to come out of place because I want it to stay there. I just want it to flex when the track flexes. So I think that's good enough. As I say, I don't want it to lift. So what I'm going to do is take the blue tack out and put the plate through into the hole under the baseboard underneath. That's it. And it's rocking even on this. So hopefully when I pull that up, I can pull it up a few mil to level out the tracks and the board, and then leave it to dry. And once it's fully dry, I'll put another wooden pillar underneath between the tracks so it doesn't happen again, to keep it level. But I'll better get on and pull this up now. After a couple of days of drying, it seems to have done the trick. So I've just removed the jig, pulling down on this section, and the track is now much more level. And before it sort of springs back up, I'm going to put another wooden pillar underneath this area, possibly a little bit shorter than the other one at the front of the raised section. Sorry about the shaking camera, I'm trying to do too much at once. So I'm going to put another pillar underneath there, directly under the area where it was bowing out, or bowing up, and then it'll be slightly sort of shorter, so I can be able to adjust it on the screws and pull down the right amount to get it level. Even though it's pretty level at the moment, but if I just left it like that, it's bound to start creeping back up again. So that's what I plan to do, and so far it seems to be working. I've just finished drilling the fixing holes either side of the hole I used for the studding to pull this area down, which has been in place for the last couple of days to allow the water to dry that I poured on the ballast. The ballast is now dry, or basically dry. So I've taken the studding away and the jig and drilled holes either side of it for a fixing pillar underneath. So I've now put the pillar in place. The pillar is slightly shorter than the pillar that is on the outside of the raised section. The two holes have now got two wood screws in to the pillar beneath, and as I said, the pillar beneath is slightly shorter to allow me for an adjustment. So should I want to tighten this down, this area a little bit more, I can, or even relieve it, because as it happens I did do it up tight and the track started bending the other way. So all I did was just undo the screws a bit, but at least you've got that tolerance to be able to find the right level for the track. So I suppose the moral of the story is, where you've got a joining plyboard, you're better off putting more pillars across that join, especially where you're going to have tracks, so you don't get any of this. And also try and keep liquids out of the wood, so possibly a bit of masking tape across before you add PVA. Excuse me, still a bit cold up here today, which is making my voice go a bit funny. But yeah, the moral of the story is prepare this area a bit more, I think, before you run liquids over it. You may be able to see the gap underneath the pillar compared with the one in the foreground. So I've just screwed the screws in enough to get that sort of little gap. I could put a shim underneath that just to take up that gap once I'm happy with it, but it allows me to adjust it down a bit more if I want, or relieve it just to get the right level for the section above. So 2 screws from above and 2 screws from below allow me to adjust this pillar. Basically I tightened it up till it was tight with the upper section, so it allows me all the adjustment from underneath. And as I said, this pillar is slightly shorter, which will allow me to adjust it up and down. Now at the moment I found the right level and I'm quite pleased with the level, so possibly if it stays like that I should just put a bit of a shim underneath that gap so it don't move. It's quite difficult to show that this rail has improved along with the other rails that pass over this section, but by putting this ruler along you may be able to see that it's nice and level with the ruler. Now this was just rocking in the centre on the ruler before, so this work has paid off. So now I've got to do is just make good 3 holes really and just tidy it up, and hopefully this area won't move again. These coaches used to rock up and down very noticeably at this point. It's very noticeable just about here. Both these ends of these coaches or other coaches would just lift up and go back down again at this point. It was really hard on the eye and it was getting on my nerves really, seeing that just didn't look right. So now, from what I can see, it doesn't do that no more. So it's all been worth it. Be a bit of a nervous thing to do with your fully ballasted and sort of weathered area layout, but I think it's paid off. So now I've just got to fill the holes in with a bit of fresh ballast, which I'll either colour or may even just leave it as a pile of ballast that is slightly different colour that's just been discarded sort of between the tracks. But yeah, it just remains for me to sort that out. So on the whole, I can say this technique worked a treat. Time will tell whether it stands up to the test of time, but I'm very pleased, and it seems a technique that I would use again if I had this problem without destroying the layout. Now it's just a case of letting that dry and cure, and it's job done. Hopefully I won't get any more issues from the track in this area. Fixing this track problem has all been a bit of an experiment really, but there's been ups and downs and lumps in your throat moments, but I've enjoyed looking back now. The outcome's a good one. It's back to running the trains again, which is nice because it's been 2 days since I've been able to touch anything or run anything. Being that there was a big metal plate across the tracks, it would have shorted everything out. So, but it was worth it. Thanks for watching again. This has just been a quick update with this particular problem, but I'll be back shortly with my next video, which will be all about the scenics I'm working on in front of the TMD at the moment. But thanks for subscribing, and thanks for staying with the channel and all your comments, and I'll see you again soon next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.